Unanimous, 11-0. Commissioner Anderson? And I know since Commissioner Anderson, you have language that Commissioner Teich wanted to have addressed regarding AISD. I'd like to use that as my item. If you don't, I know you've got the language handy over there. I've got a pile of papers. If you could read that in for me.
Sure. Do you want me to start with my item or Commissioner?
Start with Commissioner Teich's and then go to your item.
Okay, sure. So AISD, they have chimed in, and they've been a good partner of ours throughout the way. And Trustee Teich has sat with us for many meetings, and she can't make it here today. She's at graduation. But AISD was not a fan of all of their properties getting Zone P. They have a big issue with that. A good example of that is recently, I think it was Travis Heights. It was a piece of property sitting over there for many years. They realized it was surplus. They tried to sell it. They tried to rezone it, and they were unable to rezone it. And they were only trying to rezone it the exact same zoning as everything contiguous to it, and they were unable to do it. And so they ended up finding a way to get a little bit of value out of it, but it was nowhere near the value that they wanted. And so do you guys have this amendment? So it's on the original sheet. But they just want all of their properties zoned, and they've come up with context-sensitive ways to do so, and they just want it mapped. They have a lot of properties that, are used for school use. They have other maintenance facilities. They have all kinds of properties, and they just want them mapped. So I would hope that we could do that for them.
Is there a second to this motion? Second by Commissioner Shea. Is there opposition to this motion? Commissioner White. Speak in opposition.
I'm going to speak in neutral opposition.
Okay.
Right now, the schools are mostly zoned SF3. I think that P is more appropriate than single family. I am concerned that if we start rezoning the schools at higher, that we might be inadvertently putting a price tag on our schools, and their turnover is kind of fragile as it is, so I'm not that excited about this. I also think that the schools have the opportunity to rezone as they need to, and that there's a public process that goes along with that I think brings value to deciding what your school becomes after it's no longer a school.
I would accept a friendly of the lowest non-triggering, the lowest non-compatibility triggering zoning to be the baseline for this, as opposed to something high. If it was SF3 and it's now being, if the equivalent of what they think it is MS or MU something, no, it's that RM would be the.
So Chair, real quick, so I've talked a lot to Beth Wilson and some other staffers over there, and they really did do a whole lot of work on this. And as you guys know, there's a lot of sites on a lot of major core transit corridors, and one of the things that they never want to have to sell a property unless they really don't need that property anymore. And one good thing about AISD being able to capture all the value of a parcel of their land is this is money that they don't have to share with Robinhood. So it's not like, if they raise $1 per your taxes, what do they get? 60% of that. This is 100%. This goes to them. This is a great way for them to experience all the value of their land. And I really don't feel that they're going to see this land and say, oh, we need to sell it despite the fact we need it. This is just going to be in those situations when they do need to sell it, and they're pretty clear on the fact that they just want their zoning.
Commissioner Seeger, and then
I have a question for staff.
Go ahead.
Staff, what is your take on this rezoning request? So
generally, staff has designated all the AISD property or other public school districts, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Del Valle, and designate them as P public. We recognize that there are some schools that are certainly zoned SF3 today. There are many schools that are zoned SF3 today. I think the only exceptions that we made, I know Crockett High School might be one, that if they were in a neighborhood planning area and the future land use had specifically started labeling AISD property, I think it was a mixed-use center, I think was in the South Austin plan. For Crockett, we actually designated that according to the plan.
Okay, but I don't think you're answering the question, though. Commissioner
What is your position on altering the zoning on the
up or down
public schools?
We would rather than be P public,
You want them to remain P
P public. That's staff's position. That's how we've treated the other school districts that are out there.
And if I could follow up to that question, why do you want them to be P public?
P public in our ordinance is what we generally would apply to a governmental entity, AISD, Round Rock, Pflugerville.
So you want
other
to
city of
do it
Austin
for
facilities.
consistency.
It is consistency.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other zoning where the school districts could get the best value out of their properties if they need to sell? I don't know. I'm just searching for something
I'm
in the
not
middle.
quite sure of I'm not
Okay.
sure how to answer that,
If we,
that question.
all right, if without the certainty of an answer,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, okay.
We have treated properties that are in the downtown area differently and have matched the downtown plan.
Understood.
I don't know if AISD has a property within right downtown though.
All right, so with that,
I have a friendly
you
question.
have a friendly, go ahead.
To add language to direct staff to work with AISD to find zoning that is the lowest non-triggering compatibility zoning.
All right, Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Shea, are you guys okay with that?
Can I ask if you're okay to say that find the zoning that is appropriate that is also not non-triggering?
And work with staff.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Commissioner Shea, are you okay with friendly? Commissioner McGraw?
Well, the motion maker said that the school district tried to rezone property and was not allowed to. Would you? I don't understand that.
Sure. So I happened to be here when that happened, and it was a zoning case that there were folks that simply said, "Oh no, that's our park," to which AISD reminded them, "No, that's our land, and we're trying to sell it for AISD because we don't need it any longer," to which the folks around there said, "No, that's our park." So it was zoned SF3, or sorry, it was zoned P, and all they were trying to do is go, I believe Mr. Guernsey, I know remembers this because he remembers everything. I think they were just trying to go for the exact same zoning as everything around them, and they couldn't
Let's
get it.
keep our story. All right, so essentially it was to retain something. So with that, let's take up our motion, and we got to keep moving. All those in favor?
Do we have an opposition?
Yes. All those in favor of the AISD rezoning with the amendment, or with the friendly language as offered by Commissioner White, please say aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, so that is 5, 4, 1. No, 5, 5, 1. Okay, your motion, actually, Commissioner Anderson, not my motion.
Okay. So item